Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Ecobrap. Today we're going to be taking a look at our towing setup. You know, after we posted our 100 miles per gallon while towing video where we towed our race car, which totaled up to a 3,200 pound towing weight, had a lot of people asking, you know, what modifications did I do, things like that. So today we're going to delve into details of exactly what we've done, what we recommend, and what we don't recommend. But just a quick 21st century disclaimer, I'm going to pretend you're signing a virtual liability release form. This is just an informational video. Whatever you do with the information, that's on you. Just got to throw that out there because we are in that kind of a world nowadays. Now, just a couple of quick notes before we get started. The first thing I get asked a lot is warranty concerns. So people are afraid that their warranty is going to get voided because they have a trailer hitch on the car. From the research that I've done, it's actually illegal to void your warranty based on just some sort of modification like that. They would have to directly prove that, let's say, towing or the bike rack or whatever caused the warranty issue. They have to prove that. That's how your warranty will get voided. And considering that when I did my 100 miles per gallon while towing video, the dash readout said that I didn't do any aggressive driving while I was towing the 3,200 pounds, it'll probably be somewhat defensible that I wasn't stressing the car too much because their own onboard computer said that I wasn't. The second question is legality. Is what I'm doing legal? Well, as far as I know, even though the Kia Niro is not rated or recommended to tow with, it's not illegal to actually do so. It just means that it hasn't been tested with a standardized rating, so you can either take it as 0 or you can make a ballpark guess of what it should be. But what I will say is there are certain things that you should not fudge around with. First of all is the GVWR, gross vehicle weight rating. Do not exceed the weight capacity of the vehicle, and that includes the tongue weight. Same thing goes for the GAWR. Each axle is rated for a certain amount of weight. If you exceed that, again, tongue weight included, then no bueno. Hitch capacity. If you exceed too much tongue weight than the hitch was rated for and or rated to pull or push with the towing force, that's on you. Tires have a load capacity. So basically anything that has a rating, you should not exceed that. And when I've been doing my little experiments here, the one that I've been closest to is the rear axle rating. Because if I'm towing 3,000 pounds with a 300 pound tongue weight, and the axle is only rated for an additional 500 pounds, that only leaves me 200 pounds worth of cargo that I can put in the back. So that's probably the figure that I'm getting closest to, but I'm still making sure to stay well below all of these limits. And obviously you want to comply with your federal and state laws. So for example, in California, there's a certain weight that we need to have electric or hydraulic brakes on the trailer. So I'm above that weight, so I do have electric brakes on my trailer, which we'll get to later. The next frequently asked question is range. So obviously when we're towing things, our range is going to drop. So people are asking how much. Well, I've noticed about a 30 to 40% range drop when I'm towing the full 3,200 pounds with the race car on the trailer. That leaves me an effective range of, let's say, about 180 miles. This is going to vary drastically depending on what you're towing, how fast you're driving. You know, I drive like a bit of a grandpa. 55 miles an hour is the towing speed limit here in California, so I'm kind of limited to what I can do, but it does give me a hefty efficiency boost that allows me to get that kind of a range. Also worth noting that when my car is on the trailer, this is a fairly low aerodynamic profile, so I'm actually not fighting that much wind resistance. Whereas if you get yourself, let's say, a travel trailer that's half the weight, but it's shaped like a brick or it extends above the roof of the car, outside the side of the car, then you're probably going to get worse efficiency than I do, because towing is mostly an aero thing, not necessarily a weight thing, especially for highway use. And finally, how does it tow? Well, if you're really interested, I would recommend checking out our video of us actually towing with it. But if I want to summarize everything really quickly, the car tows really, really well. The only two concerns that I have, number one is the car is front wheel drive. So if I'm on a steep incline, towing a bunch of weight, I might have a couple of traction issues getting off the line or things like that. Second thing is, because I'm towing with a relatively smaller vehicle, I have got my tongue weight dialed in. So you need to use a bathroom scale when you've got everything loaded up to make sure your tongue weight is about 10 to 15% of your total trailer weight, or you can go crazy like I did, and I got this kind of ball hitch receiver that actually has a weight scale on it. So that was pretty cool to use, and it helped me get it dialed in. But if you've got enough land in your area and you can just easily detach the trailer and mess around, I just use a bathroom scale to keep it cost effective. Okay, we're finally ready to crack into the setup, so let's get started. First thing I'm going to talk about here is the hitch. So this is a Curt Class 3 hitch in here, and I've got a full install video on that. The only thing I'll note in here is it's not quite a bolt-in thing. You've got to do a bit of fabrication, so definitely check out the video to see what you're getting yourself into. The second thing I'm going to note is that I've got a clamp that helps secure the hitch receiver from wobbling around. Because this is a unibody car, any movement or play in that system is going to resonate through the whole car, and it can be a bit jarring hearing this kind of clunk going through the unibody into the cabin. So that is definitely a must-do if you're going to tow anything. And I also use it for like bike rack, motorcycle carrier that I haven't quite tested yet, but I'm going to use it for pretty much everything, just because it is a unibody car. And the second thing I'm going to go over is wiring. I've got a 7-pin trailer plug here. The good news is that eTrailer sells a 4-pin trailer harness that basically tees in from your taillights, and it does work for the EV. I can't speak for the hybrid, but I would assume it works as well. So if you have a trailer with no brakes and you only need that 4-pin connector, easy. You're just gonna pop off some trim panels, connect in this little harness that tees into the taillights, and you'll spit it out through the floor of the car so you can grab onto it out the back here. Now you might have noticed that my trailer does have brakes, so I had to buy a 4 to 7-pin harness converter, and basically what that required me to do was get power to power the brakes. So I ran a power line from the engine bay through the cabin of the car and out to the back where I spliced it in, and it gave me just the pure output of a 7-pin plug on the back. You might also have to wire in a brake controller, but I went wireless. We're gonna get to that in a second. But that's just something you would have to wire into that 7-pin combo if you don't have a wireless one. Final note on the wiring harness. When this car regenerates under its regen braking, the taillights do come on. That will trigger your brake controller to hit the trailer brakes. And it's caught me off guard a couple times, because let's say I was towing my car and I have my brakes set to maximum and I forget to set them to 0 when I take the car off. I've come towards a traffic light and the regen kicked in, brake lights turned on, and the brakes were at full pressure with no weight on the trailer. Yeah, it created quite a smoke show. The tires locked up. So I just have to keep it in my mind that every time I take the car off the trailer, I need to set my wireless brake controller to 0 voltage so that I don't accidentally lock them up when the trailer is unloaded. Now, because what I'm doing here is relatively new and I want to be as safe as possible, I looked into getting a weight distribution system, basically the set of those spring-loaded bars that help stabilize the trailer and distribute the weight evenly across the axles. I asked the experts at eTrailer if this was an option using the Curt Class 3 hitch that I've installed on this vehicle, but the experts at eTrailer said that this Curt Class 3 hitch is not rated for a weight distribution system, so it would put some sort of force that it's not built for, and even though it sounds like a good idea, I would lean away from it just for that reason. If you want to install some sort of sway control system, that would definitely be a possibility, but because I've got electric brakes in the back, if my trailer starts to sway, which it hasn't, but I just want to be prepared, then I can hit my electric trailer brakes, lock the brakes down, and stabilize the trailer that way. So it's not something that I'm going to install, but you could install one if you just have, let's say, surge brakes for a boat trailer that you can't manually control from inside the cabin. Okay, so when I found out that I couldn't install a weight distribution system because the hitch was not compatible, I had to revert to plan B. And this was to install a airbag suspension kit inside the rear coil spring. It's called an Airlift 1000, and I've basically got a little Schrader valve on the back here where I can inflate those bags with air. They inflate outwards into the coil spring and basically give me an additional progressive spring rate. I have not noticed a huge amount of sag difference. The suspension is pretty firm in this car, so even with 330 pounds on the back, it was only squatting less than ½ an inch, which is pretty crazy. But because those airlift bags are progressive, if the car goes over a bump, it is definitely going to make a difference because that air will be even more resistance when it's compressed. So that's why I installed it. It was not for a static load difference, it was for when I hit a bump. There's a good chance that those airlift airbags will give me a bit of extra stability. Full install video on those, so feel free to check that out if you're curious on that one. All right, finally, we're getting to the brake controller. So again, if you have a really light trailer, you probably don't need brakes. The regen and the discs on the car itself are fantastic. But if you're towing quite a bit of weight, I would say, you know, maybe 1,800, 2,000 is where most laws start kicking in and that force you to run trailer brakes. You have an option to run surge brakes, which is typically something used on boat trailers, where when you start slowing down in the car and the trailer starts compressing, it hydraulically actuates the brakes on the trailer. I went with an electric brake system because I wanted to be able to control it from inside the cabin, just in case the trailer started swaying, that I could grab the brake controller and bring it back in line. As I mentioned earlier, I didn't want to run brake controller wires through the whole vehicle, so I bought a wireless system, which was pretty pricey, but it's been working fantastically for me. It's a Tekonsha wireless brake controller. Again, all the parts will be in the description below. And basically what this does is it takes the 7-pin from the trailer itself and gives you a secondary 7-pin. And this is controlling all of the brake output. So you don't need to wire a brake input from the car because this is doing it. You just need the power from the car to function this box. So I showed you the wireless brake controller module that's mounted to the trailer itself. Now it's time to show you the controller. So, here we go. It's just a wireless brake controller that plugs into your cigarette lighter, so you can not use it whenever you want and just shove it in your glove box, but when you do want it, you've got a wireless handheld unit here. It can control everything automatically, but if you do want to jump in and hit the trailer voltage, you can do so manually, and that'll help if you do ever get any sway problems. And that about sums it up. So the only thing really left is towing mirrors. So you need to be able to see behind you. Now I got lucky. When my race car is on the trailer, I can actually see from my rear view mirror through the windows of my race car out the back. And I can see clearly along the side because it's a relatively small trailer, so I don't need them. But if you do get something a bit bigger, where again, obviously your efficiency is going to drop, but you can obviously find some Amazon slap-on specials or e-trailer slap-on specials that stick out. They're probably going to look pretty dorky, so I'm glad I don't have to use them, but just keep it in mind that you do need to see what's behind you. So that's pretty much it. Every little project that we did took about 2 or 3 hours each for the hitch, the airbags, the brake controller setup, all that stuff. It's about 2 or 3 hours. The hardest one was definitely the hitch. That's one that I would definitely recommend getting an expert to do if you don't have some buddies or yourself that's good with fabrication. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If it was a bit of a jumble of information and something didn't quite click in, just shoot me a comment. Let me know anything that I might have missed, things that you're curious about. Feel free to ask any questions in the comments below and I'll get straight back to you. If you guys enjoyed this video, found it informative, I'd really appreciate it if you guys liked and subscribed. It motivates me to make more videos. And we are planning some cool stuff in the future. We're gonna keep towing our race car. We're gonna try maybe towing, 3 dirt bikes. We're gonna try doing a motorcycle carrier on the back to carry my little motorcycle. We might even try launching some boats in and out of ramps into a lake, because that's where the front wheel drive problem could be an issue. So we might get ourselves into a sticky situation there, but it's all about trying it. We got tired of having a massive pickup truck that cost us a lot of money, and this thing costs me now 7 cents per mile to tow my race car, which if any of you can beat that, do let me know. But for now, it's about as good as it gets. Excellent bang for your buck and great for the environment as well. So thanks guys, I'll catch you guys next time.